on? I'm trying to figure out why the chat window says something went wrong. Chat. I'm in my studio. Well, y'all, I don't know what's going on. I'm live in the studio, and my chat on the right, the chat window, isn't working. So I'm not sure how I'm supposed to go live and be able to talk to you guys when my chat window is saying, has the little monkey with the hammer that's saying something went wrong in it. So I am not sure what to do about that. But I'm not terribly happy about it. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Okay. I went live in one window. And oh, yay. I see you, Lisa and Tom Mark. Wow, that's annoying that I can open the live in the studio and I'm also getting an echo back. But I can't chat in my live space because there's a little broken monkey. So I'll just deal with the echo coming back at me. I'm Kristen again, by the way. I never remember people's names properly. See them. Okay, let's see. I'll put me up on the TV and then mute this. Oh, I don't need, you're right. I don't need to hear myself, do I? Okay. It's still looking at me with a little delay, but that's all right. Thanks, Jean-Marc. I appreciate that. Now I don't have to listen to myself. So I hope everyone is okay this week. It's been a crazy week for me. I had my last art show on Friday, which was also last Friday, I guess, which was also um, my wedding anniversary. My husband and I got married 11 years ago on Halloween. And we also dressed up. And then I spent the evening being annoyed by an evangelical group in the tents next door, poaching people and standing in front of my tent entrance. It was a thing. But I also saw some really good, some really special people to me. My former students who I taught were seniors in high school in the 2022-23 school year. That was the last year I taught. And it was just so good to see them. And they made me reevaluate what I want to do with my business, which I did talk about in my Tuesday video. But anyway, so right now, and thank you, Jean-Marc, for the support because I totally need it. Don't forget to hit my like button if you haven't already. So what was I going to say? Oh, we are in full on declutter and stress out mode. And thank you, Lisa. I just love those. I just love those students. And it made me realize I don't want my business, my creative business, to be only women 45 plus. I want those people to be able to come in too and get creative as well on my Sketch Your Life community. So, what we're doing this week is decluttering collections. I am in full declutter mode. And what's funny is the only collection that I have is art supplies. I have to purge my art supplies. That's what I hoard. My husband and I don't know, I don't think I've told anybody here, but in 2004, my ex-husband and I moved from Missouri down to Pensacola, Florida, where my mom and stepdad and one sister and her husband lived. And we got an apartment right on the bay, and it was June 2004. And guess what came flying through in September 2004, 3 months to the day after we moved into this apartment, was Hurricane Ivan, one of the biggest hurricanes to hit that shore in a long time. And everything I had collected that we hadn't evacuated in our SUV, all my collections just went away. They got sucked out the back of the apartment. So I ended up becoming very Spartan. I didn't want, oh, thanks, Jean-Marc. You can be customer testers. And thanks, Lisa. I try to be kind. But anyway, I Hurricane Ivan sucked all my belongings away. And after that, I decided, you know what? I like being Spartan. I like not having tons and tons of knickknacks to dust and things like that. So I became a person who I have art on my walls. Most of it's mine. And I have art supplies. And then I have my books and my studies and the things that I surround me. But my now husband, we met after I'd lived here and several years after my divorce from my first husband. Turned out he liked men as much as I did, so that was not going to be a forever marriage for me. But I met Dale in 2010, and we have been together ever since. So we've been together for almost 16 years, but we have been married for 11. And we got married, we had a Halloween wedding, costumes and all. And he came with a lot of collections. So we had one cabinet that was completely full of CDs. And we have another cabinet that was completely full of DVDs, as well as series and stuff like that. My DVDs I came with were all, I had taken them out of their cases and gotten rid of, recycled their cases. And I have them all in a big CD notebook, all my DVDs. So mine were compact. He liked to keep his cases. So his were, they filled the whole cabinet. And it was a tall cabinet. It was a 6 foot tall cabinet with lots of shelves, and they filled it up. So his DVDs as well, he has hundreds of DVDs. I don't know if I took a picture, but maybe I could show you on my phone. Let's see. I just want to show you the picture I took of the stacks of CDs. I don't know if you can see it. It might be, I guess it's just too bright. There's a table full of stacks of CDs. So I'm in charge of sorting them and checking online to see if any of them are worth selling or if I just want to get rid of them. So today I have sorted out all of his. There was a group that he went through a phase with called the Cocteau Twins. They're a British pop group, 80s, 90s, maybe 2000s. But he has this many Cocteau Twins CDs. I think it's like 15. And I decided to go and price them out. And I found that I can probably get about 15, 16 bucks out of all of them, each one of them, not all together, each one individually. I have other stacks. They're all different 80s bands. Jean-Marc, we definitely are going to sell most of them. If they're worth it, we'll sell them. But I'm not bringing them with us though. So I'm just going to, I've stacked them all in different categories. Like one stack is all alternative. One stack is like goth music. Some of the goth alternative bands like Evanescence and a few others from that era. One is musicals, the soundtracks from musicals. And another is stacks of movie music, but it's not this, it's the soundtrack, not the score. It's like, all the music from, say, American Pie, where they had the rock songs and the pop songs and the stuff like that. So I've sorted them all into categories. One is like 80s pop, one is 90s and 2000s alternative grunge, and just stuff like that. And I'm getting ready to go through and just price them all out. I'll probably, if I find that the CDs aren't worth each, it's a pain to list them separately. So if I find that they're not worth listing separately, I'll bundle them. Like I'll do a whole like 10 CDs from the 80s. These are the groups. And I'll show a picture of like 10. But otherwise, like this Cocteau Twins stuff, though, they're worth listing separately. It seems that they are still quite popular with collectors. So thanks, Lisa. Yes, it is a lot of work, and we have to get it done because we can't repaint every wall in our house until we get stuff out of the way and out of the house. And in the front of our house, we have oak floors. This house was built in 1972 and then added onto in the 90s. So the front of the house is all oak floors. It was a little rancher. And those floors have never been refinished, as far as I know, since 1972, which means the boards will be thick enough to refinish, but it's going to be a lot of work. But that means we have to completely empty out the front of the house, which is about, I don't know, 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. And that includes my husband's office, which is full of stuff, and my old inventory room, and all of those things. Lisa, how is your dad anyway? How's he doing? I can't believe you've been to France over 50 times. I've been once. It's enough to steal your heart, though, that's for sure. Well, I'm glad he's still kicking. Unless he annoys you or you don't like him, in which case. But if you're sticking around for him, I think you like him okay. You must. My mom is 80 or 81 now. I think she's going to be 81 in December. And she has, you know, issues like congestive heart failure, and has, I think she has a pacemaker and several other things. No, she doesn't have a pacemaker. She got a little net to keep clots from trying to hurt her in her heart. But she's actually really healthy right now and doing well. However, I don't feel bad about moving across the ocean from her because she lives in a tiny house behind my younger sister Sarah's house. And not a tiny house, but it's like she and my stepdad lived in the big house, and then they moved, or he passed away from pancreatic cancer about 10 years ago. So she built a little house behind the big house, and then my sister and her husband and their kids bought the bigger house in the front. So they all live there in such close proximity that my mom's like, you got to go. You just need to go while you can still enjoy it. And if I'm feeling healthy enough, I'll be able to come to France for the first time in my life and visit you. Um, so that's what we're doing. I also found my husband also has collected fountain pens over time. He had a bunch of musical instruments. He loved to collect drums and had a drum kit. He finally sold that, and he's been able to sell off all but one of his drums, which I told him he probably should take with him because it's compact enough that it will fit in a container. Um, but I did not realize that he also has a comic collection of mostly Star Wars comics, and there are about 600 of them. So that's another collection that I'm going to have to go through. And we also are board game geeks. We loved to play board games with our group of friends. They're started to scatter to the winds now, and one passed away about a year and a half ago. But so we have another big cabinet that's probably 4 feet wide, and it's also 6 feet tall, 72 inches. I don't know what that is in centimeters. And then there are board games inside every nook and cranny. On it's the cabinet was made to be like a sideboard or something, so it has like a desk area with a big giant glass cabinet over it, and um, drawers and cabinets under it, and up to the ceiling, and all through that cabinet are board games. Jeff, hi. Good to see you. I was just talking about I'm trying to sell off all of our collections, mostly Dale's collections of things. Lisa, I thought about Lille. Paris was never on my list because it's just too much for me, and my husband felt kind of claustrophobic there too. Lille might be a little too gray and rainy for my taste. Dijon also pretty gray, but it's beautiful, and that could be a choice, especially if Dale gets a job there. Um, Recently, after doing my little armchair of La Rochelle and actually talking to people who live there, that's my number one right now. Though I haven't taken other places off the list yet. I've had to kind of take Carcassonne off, except that I want to live there so bad. There's already an expat community there that I like and that are funny and that I would love to be neighbors with, but it's more expensive and I don't think we could live there without a car. So I'm getting rid of Dale's collections and our board game collection, which, as I said, reaches to the ceiling. Yeah, Jeff, it is about the same size as Perpignan, but their system seems to be a little bit easier to move around in. They have a great bike system, and it's relatively flat. So it's just much easier to get around. And their buses run everywhere to all the outlying villages and everywhere. And they even have night buses that run like after midnight or so on Friday and Saturday so people can stay in their dinners and having fun for longer. So, yeah, it is about the same size though as Perpignan, and that's what kind of what Dale and I are looking for, not Perpignan itself for the same reasons you've talked about, because it's kind of hard to have no car there because their buses, you said, stop at like 7. Um, and yes, they have long-term leases for that. Florida is a mess right now, that is for sure. Um, Lisa, I have Amish relatives that live near Sarasota or in Sarasota in an Amish community down there. I'm not sure, Lisa, that I can be completely done with sun because um, I'm done with heat. I'm really over super hot long summers. And here in North Carolina, I know the long summers get real hot in Southwest France or Southeast France even. I know they get pretty hot, but they don't last as long. You know, they might have a few weeks of really high temperatures, and this year they really did. And this year Southwest has had a few wildfires, and I don't like that because they've been dry. Um, but there is hope for Florida even. My daughter and my mother-in-law and my mother and two of my sisters live in North Florida. So, yeah, it's a place, and we'll probably be changing our address to a Florida address from this North Carolina address. Once we've sold the house, we'll probably go down to Florida once we've closed on the house. Um, we'll probably apply for our visas as soon as we have a closing date. And then once we see that we have our visas and close on the house, we're going to pack up what we're taking with us and go to Florida and to stay with family. And we will get ourselves a Florida address, either using one of our family members' addresses, or I think there's a service too that you can get an address. And we will also exchange our North Carolina driver's licenses for Florida driver's licenses because since we're going to be using Florida anyway, so we don't have to pay state income tax, we're going to also, lost my train. This is ADHD brain. We're also going to, might as well switch our licenses too, right? If we're going to have a Florida address. And then because North Carolina does not have a driver's license exchange over there, but Florida does. And so since we're going to have a Florida address anyway, we might as well get our Florida driver's licenses as well because they're exchangeable with French driver's licenses. We probably will, Jeff. Um, a friend of ours that he and his wife moved back to England from here, from our town, has recommended an international moving service to us, and so we'll definitely be getting a hold of him, and and we'll probably be leaving or having our stuff scheduled to ship with him um, for when we plan to already have been in France. So he helps people not only to move their stuff, but holds it until it's ready to ship and it can arrive after we've arrived and settled. So that's good. Really? I have to go back and get my oldest driving information from Missouri when I haven't lived there for 20 years. That's interesting to know. Um, oh, I see. It'll help with eventual auto insurance. Yeah, okay. Well, if I can find a way to get my driver's license from the Missouri DMV, I will do so. Uh, Not quite sure how to get that, but I'll try. I've been in North Carolina for about 20 years, but I've had my driver's license here for about 19. And I had been in Florida for a year and a half and had a driver's license from there. And then before that was all Missouri from the time I was 16. So, oh, I see what you're saying. No, I'll still have my uh, North Carolina driver's license as well. And I mean, I'll have that at least a picture of it as well. And I even think I may have a couple old driver's licenses from Missouri stored away in a box somewhere that I haven't gone through yet. So I will definitely do that. And I'll also save my car insurance information. We've used Geico for years and years. So, um, oh, gotcha. Yeah, I haven't had a checkbook in so long, Jeff. Lisa, yes. Um, I will do my best to get it to save on insurance. That's for sure. Lisa, I'm backing up because I've been talking about this for a minute and missed a couple comments. Jean-Marc, I'm glad you had a nice autumn day there today. We have had 3 or 4 days of just beautiful autumn weather. And here in North Carolina, autumn weather can be anywhere from, it might be freezing in the night and then 68, 69 degrees by the end of the day. I'm not sure how that translates to Celsius. Uh, Going to a charity shop tomorrow to take some CDs and DVDs. Oh, thanks. I think that might be a little far. We do have several thrift stores and charity shops, and one in particular is a charity thrift shop that all the proceeds coming from the thrift shop help with their food closet, their feed food banks, and clothing, and helping people to survive, especially right now when people aren't getting their SNAP benefits. And there are a lot of children that people are struggling to keep fed, both around here and everywhere. Children and their parents and adults. Let's see. Talked to the taking the packing stuff. Talked about getting that driver information. Thank you for that. Lisa asked Jeff and Jean-Marc, what is all the news about American retirees and carte vitales I'm hearing about? I've gotten the idea of what is happening, but has the government outlined what the cost? They are proposing to charge. Oh, I see. I see. I haven't heard they're changing the carte vitale for retirees. Um, okay. Get a written statement from the insurance company stating you had no accidents in 9 years. You get 50% discount French side. Wow, that's pretty good. We don't plan on having a car right away of our own down the road. We will. So, as far as car insurance is concerned, we'll only need to purchase insurance on any rental car that we get, or if we use some kind of car share program or something of that nature. So at first, it won't be such a big deal. but I still want to have a driver's license because I want to be able to rent a car and drive around legally. Some French politicians are talking about Americans not contributing to the system based on current laws. Yeah, I think that is, I've been watching a lot of that too. And a lot of people, have, I'm sure you've seen comments have come on and said, you just come over here and take all of our stuff. And we've been paying in for 45 years. But let's, for our own purposes, we can nip a lot of that in the bud. Expats contribute to the economy of wherever they are. They have lots of purchasing power. They buy lots of stuff. They buy homes. Sometimes expats and immigrants have revitalized entire villages and towns. So they're contributing in that way as well as contributing in other ways. So I think, yes, they probably might change it, and maybe they should, since their healthcare is kind of losing steam right now as far as funds and money. But I would be perfectly happy paying out of pocket for smaller medical things anyway, just because, because we can, and it's so much cheaper there. But I think a lot of the French politicians are doing similar things to what American politicians do, and that is trying to twist things in a way that make it look like it's all the immigrants, especially the leaning right politicians, because they have to find a scapegoat. And right now they're scapegoating immigrants, and they have been for 10 years. Used to be just immigrants from certain places that had brown skin or were Muslims, but now they're trying to turn it to where all immigrants are the problem. And it's a way to scapegoat what the real problems are, and those real problems are similar to the problems we're having here in the US, and that is that rich corporations and rich people are not contributing their fair share. Now, a lot of businesses have to pay a lot of employment taxes on their for their employees. They pay a lot of businesses. So it really is not great and helpful for smaller businesses, but for the big giant corporations that are coming in, and those are what the politicians don't want to talk about, because they're the ones filling their pockets, get them little kickbacks. So it's politics. It's so politics. And it is a new issue, as Jeff said, the carte vitale. Nothing's going to happen for a while. Let's look at French bureaucracy. It'll take a while. And they do moan about so many Americans just coming over to France for the healthcare, Jean-Marc. But again, I feel as if it's still a lot of politicking, because most people don't come to France just for the healthcare. There are tons of European countries they could go to for good and affordable healthcare. However, you do pay. Your carte vitale might be the base, that pays back 70% of your appointments or whatever. But most Americans pay the top-up insurance, the stuff that they pay anywhere from 30 euro a month to 100 euro a month for, depending on their health and age, etc. So that's being paid into the tax system or into the healthcare system, all of that money. And yes, as Jeff said, we might have to have a year of international insurance to get a visa, but a lot of that insurance for visa insurance for living does not pay for a lot of the basic services. So Americans do pay out of pocket until the carte vitale comes. And sometimes, just because they say you can apply for it in 3 months doesn't mean you're going to get it at 3 months. A lot of people have been waiting months and months and months for their carte vitale, which is why they require you to have at least 1 year of insurance. Um, let's see. You still haven't gotten yours. Have you applied for it, Jean-Marc, or are you just it's everything's so low cost it doesn't matter? Or um, and yes, Jeff, private coverage for the first year anyway. Yeah, that's probably true, Jean-Marc. If you're on private and it's better for you because you're younger, that's fabulous. I'm in between. I'm 59, so I'm not a retiree, and I won't be for a while because we want to get there sooner than retirement. And my husband is 53. Yes, I am a cradle robber. He's 6 years younger than me. Um, I don't know if you guys in France hear some of the stuff that's gone on over here, like Mamdani, the guy who is now the mayor of New York. All of these Republicans are like, oh, he was, he's 6 whole years older than his wife. That means when he was 18 and a legal adult, she was only 12. And they're making such a big deal out of it. And people are like, they didn't meet until they were both adults. It's just crazy. And then the hypocrisy just makes me laugh. Um, let's see. Yeah, I figure, Jean-Marc, that yeah, 35 euros for a GP visit. 29 is the average for a GP visit. So um, you're probably right. It just depends on what's going on with the prefecture you're in. And retirees also do pay into the system, yes, especially if they have other income aside from Social Security or pension. So if they have any other income coming in, they pay out of that. They pay taxes. I will be doing a profession liberale visa application because I'm starting a business here that's going to be pretty much all remote, teaching people how to sketch their lives and get creative. And I'm going to start putting tiers on that community as I add uh, things. So like it's like a Patreon sort of thing, only it's got a community with it too. It's on the Skool SKOOL platform. But anyway, I'm building that now. But when I move my business over to France, I want the profession liberale visa because I want the ability to still not only sell my art there, but to do sketch tours and to do and to have retreats, like in book out a boutique hotel for retreats and stuff like that. So I'll be making money, which has been a stressor for us lately. My husband's still fishing around for jobs, and right now the economy ain't doing so well. Lots more layoffs than openings. So he's nervous that he's not going to find work. Um, so he's obviously keeping the job he has for now, even though his company is also whispering about layoffs. His department is not one of the early layoff departments. But we will likely, once we're over there, pay out of pocket most of the time as well. Let's see. Yeah, the Mutual, Jeff, that's the top off insurance. Um, that's amazing, Jean-Marc, that the dentist costs you 55 euro for the hygienist. I recently had a root canal and a crown on my tooth. And between the woman dentist who did the root canal and the dentist who made my regular dentist who got me my crown, that ended up costing me close to $2,000 once it was all said and done. Oh, it's only based on age, Jeff the expat, the Mutual, not on health issues. Let's see. You're still waiting for your carte vitale after 3 years. Wow. I mean, we'll apply for it as soon as we are allowed to, but I don't really plan to, we don't go to the doctor very often. Over here in the US, they try to get us to go all the time for every little thing, even when we feel fine. But yeah, we don't plan on just having a revolving door medical visits and stuff. We're pretty healthy right now. So a couple decades to retirement, eh? Jean Marc. Let's see. Jeff says you will have less issues since you will have some sort of job when you come over to France. So you'll be paying into the system. Yes, I'll be paying into the system because I'll be working inside of France, which means those I'll be paying French taxes. Now, I'm pretty sure that the US will also have to pay federal income taxes to the US, even for what we're doing over there, because guess what? That's what the US does. They make you still pay taxes. Um, but then once it hits a certain level, then you pay taxes to France. So we'll definitely have to have an accountant that knows which taxes go where. But at least I won't be paying state income taxes to North Carolina. A routine appointment at 55 is not bad. Now, yeah, we pay more than that. We pay about for just dental insurance because apparently dental and eye are not just health. They're something else. So we pay different insurances for different things. And our dental insurance between the two of us is probably $100 a month. And that's just for a free cleaning every year and an appointment every year to just do a checkup. Wow, Jeff. 28 euros and 15 to 20. That's pretty cool. Well, that's cool. That they do not base the cost of the mutuelle on any pre-existing conditions, but they do have different levels of coverage. Right. There is no double taxation. We would get the foreign tax credit on your US return. Right, because they have that deal with France. I think it works the same with the Netherlands as well, that where taxes are not doubled. However, some other countries, if you move to some other countries, you will be double taxed because the US is one of the only countries out there that no matter where its citizens are in the world, they'll have to pay taxes to the US, even if they're not working inside the US. It's insane. It's insane. But that's what it is. So thank goodness France has that tax treaty with them. So how's the weather in Perpignan right now, Jeff? Jean-Marc said they were having a beautiful autumn day today. And what's it like in Perpignan this time of year? Yes, most other countries also tax US Social Security, but France does not. Interesting. Yeah, we were looking at other countries in the beginning and just like, okay, if we don't get France, what's the fallback? And we were looking at several other places, and I, I really, there's not really a lot of fallback in the plan. There's not really a lot of plan B. I had looked at and talked about Albania, but that's a place to run away from what's going on here, not a place to run to our dreams, you know? And the Netherlands would be number two, I guess, because that would be the second easiest place to go, even though it's very expensive there too. Um, it's not as expensive quite in most places as the US, but still pretty darned expensive, especially for housing. Um, and it's cold and gray and windy. Well, that's nice, mid 60s. That's where we've been for the last week or so. It gets really cold at night, and then we're mid 60s to very low 70s the rest of the time. The backyard looks beautiful. I look out at it over here, and the leaves have been falling every time the wind gusts, and my dog likes to sit out on the back porch and just watch them fall, and one of my cats likes to sit in the window, and she jumps at him sometimes to try to catch him. We have a French door at the back of the house that has two big plate glass windows in it. So the cats love to sit there and look out on the back since they're not allowed to go out. Yeah, Jean-Marc, I know it would just be so much more expensive to do that. To visit the UK and Ireland for 6 months. If we were going to do that, we'd probably just go back and forth between Mexico and Canada, because that's their thing too. You can be 6 months in Canada on just a regular passport. You can be 6 months in Mexico on just a regular passport. We could just go back and forth. And the UK is also pretty expensive. And if we were doing 6 months, that means short-term rentals like an Airbnb, which means much more expensive monthly payments. I can't wait to visit the UK and Ireland. And our friends that live in the UK, at the very least, they have a guest room. So we'll be able to maybe stay with them a couple days. And that's one of the reasons I was checking like flights out of La Rochelle when I was looking, and found that you can get a direct flight to London from La Rochelle on Ryanair for 20 bucks. Um, and also, I love train travel. I love train travel. So we'll definitely be getting one of those. I don't remember what they call it, where you pay a certain amount of euro for a year to get big discounts on train rides where you're going. So Baguette Bound was talking about it sometime a while back. So I'll just relook up what they were talking about when we get there. But that will definitely be something that we do because we love to travel by train. A Eurorail card, Jean-Marc. We actually, when we vacationed in France and Italy a while back, we got a Eurorail pass, a 10-day pass for tourists, of course, where you get it wasn't a 10-day pass, sorry, it was a 10 ride pass, a two country 10 railroad rides pass. So we were able to travel by train between places. Although, of course, the minute we landed in Paris, the train people went on strike. So so we had to do a little finagling and moving things around in our schedule, but we got there at least. We got around. The Eurorail card. That's interesting that it's the same group that does the tourist Eurorail passes. But yes, do you know, Jean-Marc, about what you pay per year for your Eurorail card and what the discount is for trains? Just curious. An average. I'm sure I could look on Eurorail's website too. Let's see. What was I was going to ask you guys a couple questions about. I know that since I'm going for a profession liberale visa, I know that I don't have to be making whatever the monthly minimum wage is right away. I have a year to build up to that, which is also scary if I'm not there yet by the time we come. But we'll also have from the sale of our house enough income in the bank for at least 1 year of living for the two of us in France. More than that, we'll have more, but we won't have to be making an income. But of course, my husband doesn't want to he doesn't want to rely on possibly moving without a job and having to get a job later, or getting a work visa, or finding remote work later, because it's scary. It's we don't have a ton of money in the bank, and my father tried to leave me some money, but that's all tied up in a big family issue right now. Uh, so we're not counting on that, just the money from the sale of our house, which would keep us for a couple years, but we'd have to be making a full-on living once that's within a year. Senior discount card for 60+ year olds. Well, I'll be almost 60 by the time we get there. I turn 60 in May 31st, 2026. And my hopeful goal is to be in France, settling in before my birthday. So once I turn 60, I can get that. Yay! 49 euros. That's nice. Be careful with that visa, as you have to prove future profit over the 5-year period. It's about income. Yeah, I've talked to Patricia Brooks about it. It does videos called Courage Catalyst, and she also coaches women who want to move to France. And she's talked a lot about how she lived there on a visitor visa for a minute, but then she decided to come back to the U.S. and apply for the profession liberale visa. And they told her that she got it, and they give her a year to prove that she can make that amount of money. Um, so yeah, you have to really, your business plan really has to reflect well what you're making and what you can be making. And she said she wasn't quite, after the 1 year, she wasn't quite making enough, that she thought that she wasn't going to get renewed, because she was making like €100 under their monthly limit. But they saw that she had built the profit and continued to profit more per month every month. So they gave her a 3 or 4 year um, visa on the profession liberale, because they could see she was moving up in the ranking, and she still had savings to prove that she wouldn't be living off on the dole, or living on France government social service money. And yes, I'll be careful. I'll be hiring uh, an immigration lawyer to help me with that visa. Lisa says, I think if you have a visa tied to your professional endeavors, you will have to meet the requirements regardless of your savings. Yeah, I mean, you do eventually, but as Patricia said, they give a little leeway if they see you're building that profit. Like, she was only making, like, I think €1,300 a month toward the end of when she had to renew her profession liberale visa. But because she went from 0 to 1,300 a month, they realized they gave her a break. They cut her some slack, because she was moving in the right direction and she was making steady progress. One person sold everything in the UK, the house, and opened a guest house, didn't get the income, they got canceled. Oh, their visa got canceled. Yeah, I mean, it's a risk, but right now I'm working on building my online presence and, as I said, making monthly fees from people who want to pay to learn what I'm helping them with. And I'm also a coach for mental health. So I help people use their creativity not only to just learn creativity, but also to improve mental health, to improve memory, etc. So I'm building that coaching business currently. So I'm hoping that I'll be making enough by the time we move. Right now, I'm making virtually nothing because I've been spending too much time trying to downsize and declutter. But I'm hoping to be making their limit or at least close to their limit before I even get there. Yeah, I think what who is it? Sarah and her husband. It's France Unfiltered, I think. She has a YouTube channel. She and her husband actually got denied the first time. She owned property and they got denied from the UK, from France, to come on visas, self-employment visas, because they I, they didn't have the a right piece of paperwork. Somehow something went wrong. That's a real bummer that they got their visa denied even though their village vouched for them. That's just that's just mean. However, if I'm working on a profession liberal visa and I end up getting my visa denied later down the road, I'll just come back to the US and apply for a visitor visa. So I I could retrain as an English teacher, and because I have a master's degree in English and I've taught English here. However, I'm not sure, number one, that I want to expend the money again to teach, and I'm not sure I want to teach. I'm just not sure I want to go back in the classroom in that way. I've been a teacher and a mental health worker for my entire adult career, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I just don't know. How do you like it? Is that what you do, Jean-Marc? Oh, I know, Lisa. I love you guys too. I'm just so glad I've met you all in this community. I'm just so glad. It just seems like such a good community of people that really want to meet each other and help each other out, and it's just really the coolest thing ever. And mwah. Jeff, yes, I will teach you how to draw something more than stick people. Even if I live somewhere else and we're just visiting where you live, or you're just visiting where we end up, even if that, I could teach you in an afternoon to draw better than a stick figure. 60 credits away to get the degree, then just teach, then you go to local recognition and you get a recommendation for visa. I hear you. Like I said, I'm just not sure I want to go back into the classroom in that capacity. I'm just not sure. Is there a shortage, do you know, of English teachers in France? And are they looking for Native American English speakers to teach English in France? Just curious. I know they're just as underpaid as we are over here. Yeah, isn't it amazing? I I I'm not even in France yet. And I've met and connected with so many people who are already over there, or people like Lisa and like other people who are working toward that end, who want to go that direction. And the fact that that people are so open and so kind, I just love it. Yeah, Jeff, they probably do seem to be more in demand for native speakers. I know that here I took French, high school French for 3 years. That a very long time ago. I lost it all because we didn't use it. But I had two different teachers at two different schools. One had lived in France for 5 years, but was still an American. And she spoke fluently, but I don't know that her accent was French enough, you know? And the other French teacher had never lived in France. She just had master's degrees and all of the things in France as a foreign language. And I'm sure she'd visited France before, but I'm not sure. And they teach the formal language. So you're just learning conjugations and verbs and vocabulary. You're not learning how to put sentences together. But yes, I'm really excited to get over there and actually meet and connect with expats who maybe have seen my YouTube channel. I know sometimes I'm sure you guys have probably seen the Frenchies and Colleen and I've lost his first name. They tell you all the good things and are doing reviews lately on places in Paris. But they're really they get recognized everywhere they go now. They've become famous. I do not have an engineering degree. My husband is a data analytics informatics guy. He works in computer programming systems like SQL and Python to help build databases for medical information right now. I'm sure that could translate to other things, which is why he's centering a lot of searches around Toulouse, where they have a lot of high tech stuff. Um, as far as my degrees, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and 18 master hours in psychology, and I have a master's degree in English literature. So no engineering for me. Southern French. I love it when you say bonjour, y'all, Jeff. I have this weird Midwestern. Sorry, I'm very stuffy right now. So if I sound like I have a stuffy nose, it's because I do. I have a weird Midwestern generic accent, but I can slip into Southern very easily. I've lived in North Carolina now for 20 years. And I find that if I'm hanging out with someone who has that accent, I fall into it. So I'm hoping to pick up French accents because I'm good at accents, but we'll see. I'm sure people will always peg me as an American, no matter how fluent I get. Yes, Jean-Marc. He is really French. Antoine, that's his name. Lisa from Boston, over 50 years. I have a cousin, Lisa, who lives in Milton, Massachusetts, which, as you know, I'm sure is a suburb of Boston. And her Boston accent is heavy. It's big. She goes down Sella. She parks a car. I spent a week with her. Oh, I guess it's been about 20 years since I got to go spend some time with her. By the time I left, I was in the flight on the way home and it was very clear sky. And I looked out the window and said, "Oh, look, there's the river." And and then I went like this because I'm not from Boston, but I'd been with her for a week. So Jeff got recognized. If I taught English over there, my students would sound like the cast of The Departed. I missed that part. That's hilarious. Jeff says, I got recognized by a couple visiting Perpignan while I was standing outside of FNAC waiting for them to open. I don't know what FNAC is, FNAC, but that's cool that you got recognized by a couple who were visiting. That's fun. Speaking of accents, I went to Eureka Springs, Arkansas one time, way back in the day when I was an evangelical Christian. That's a long story ago, but they have an outdoor play called the Passion Play, and it's basically a big play about the last week of Jesus' life, like from the Last Supper to when he's crucified, and then his ascension afterward. And it cracked me up. We were watching it. We were sitting in the audience in this big outdoor auditorium. It was really neat to watch, even, but then Jesus said, "It pains my heart." and I fell out. I couldn't even listen to the rest because Jesus had such an Arkansas accent. It cracked me up. Oh, an electronics store. Of course, Jean-Marc, because you probably have a British accent. My mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law, who I loved even in the years after me and her son split up, my sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws and my mother-in-law were always still my family and still are. But she passed away a couple years ago, but she had a very nice Warwickshire accent. I know. Jesus talked funny. It was just like, "It pains my heart to see you this way." And I'm just like, "Oh, Lordy." That just was a hybrid accent between someone from the valleys and Oxford. Well, I am an Anglophile as far as accents are concerned. I find them all fun. And I used to watch PBS over here in the States had EastEnders on every night for a long time. And I used to watch EastEnders and talk about accents. The East London accent is a very interesting, fun one. But I learned, and my mother-in-law's family were all still over in England, and her brother Joe also had a super thick Cockney accent. I couldn't even understand him when we were on the phone for the first few years that I've talked to him. But then after that, I recognized it. Oh, goodness. It's like 4:10. Thank you guys for coming and keeping me company. I know it's a small group, but I love you all. Don't forget to hit the like button, please, if you haven't already. I'm trying to do some tweaking with my channel. I feel like I'm not getting as many views as I was getting before on certain topics. So I'm going back and looking and seeing what were the keywords I had in my thumbnails and what were the keywords I had in my titles in the videos that got a lot more views. Like I'm thinking of one of them I did was Annecy, can we afford to live there, in the thumbnail, and that one got 1,700 some views. And I know that's still low. I only have 450. Now I guess I have 459 subscribers. I'm looking at the ticky thing, but I know I don't have a lot of subscribers yet, but I was getting more views early on, and I'm trying to build this channel so that I can, at the very least, monetize it over 1,000 people. Um, but I'm looking more at just wanting more numbers because I want to stay up in the levels and get to know more people. Jeff, get a British passport. You qualify if your grandparents came from the UK. My luck, sadly, my great grandparents came from Ireland and Scotland. So I'm one generation too far away for me to try to get a dual. Now I have a friend, Colleen, who is trying very hard to get her dual Irish citizenship because her father came over here from Ireland. Maybe her grandfather, I'm not sure, but she's been working on it for a while. Jeff, that's true. There's not a lot of value to you since Brexit. Still not EU anymore. Bummer. Oh, well, the dog and the husband have gotten home from their walk and it's almost 4:15, so I'm going to say thank you guys. Love y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your week and my next video will be out on Tuesday. But thanks, Jeff, for coming by. And Jean-Marc, and where'd you go? Lisa, there you are. It's good seeing all of you. And Jeff, I'll see you in your live tomorrow. Bye. Guess I got to go over here to end.